Why do people cheat in relationships? It's one of the most painful questions anyone can face, and one of the hardest to answer honestly. We often think cheating is simple, a selfish act, a moment of weakness, a betrayal of trust. But beneath that surface lies something far more complex, something deeply human. Because infidelity isn't always about lust or opportunity. It's often about emptiness, confusion, fear, and unmet emotional needs. When people cheat, they aren't always searching for someone new. Sometimes they're searching for themselves. But how can that be? How can someone risk everything? Love, stability, family, for a moment of connection that often leads to destruction. To understand why people cheat, we have to look beyond judgment, beyond morality, and into the fragile psychology of human desire. At the heart of every relationship lies a need, the need to be seen, valued, and desired. In the beginning, everything feels magical. Two people see each other clearly, they mirror each other's emotions, and every look feels meaningful. But as time passes, familiarity replaces novelty. The spark fades, daily routines begin to dull what was once electric. And in that quiet, an invisible distance forms. Have you ever felt alone, even while lying next to someone you love? That emptiness is often where cheating begins, not in the body, but in the mind. Emotional disconnection is a silent predator in relationships. When people stop feeling appreciated or understood, they start to seek validation elsewhere. Not necessarily because they want to betray, but because they want to feel alive again. They crave the feeling of being desired, admired, and seen through fresh eyes. The brain's reward system lights up at novelty. New faces, new compliments, new attention. It's the same dopamine rush as falling in love, and that rush can feel intoxicating. But let's pause for a moment. Why does the brain crave this newness so much? Psychologists say that humans are wired for both stability and excitement, two forces constantly pulling us in opposite directions. We crave safety, yet we also crave thrill. We want to feel secure, but not stagnant. In long-term relationships, that tension becomes intense. When the adventure fades, many people mistake comfort for boredom. They start to wonder, is this it? Is this all there is? And in that vulnerable moment, when someone else shows interest, it can feel like oxygen after years of holding your breath. Cheating doesn't always start with intention. It starts with curiosity, a conversation, a compliment, a glance that lasts 1 second too long. The cheater tells themselves it's harmless, we're just talking. But each message, each private smile, each shared secret builds an emotional bridge. By the time physical betrayal happens, the emotional betrayal has already long begun. The line between friendship and attraction blurs quietly, invisibly. But is cheating always about what's missing in the relationship? Not always. Sometimes it's about what's missing within the person themselves. People cheat not because they don't love their partner, but because they don't love themselves. They feel inadequate, unseen, or forgotten. They seek someone who can reflect a better version of who they wish to be. In those moments, infidelity becomes less about escaping their partner and more about escaping their own reflection. Have you ever noticed how people who cheat often say, "I don't even know why I did it"? That's not an excuse. It's a confession of confusion. They aren't always chasing another person. They're chasing a feeling: youth, power, validation, importance. There's another side too, the thrill of secrecy. For some, it's not even about the affair itself, but the danger of it. The adrenaline of doing something forbidden can feel addictive. It gives them a sense of control or rebellion, especially if they feel powerless elsewhere in life. But the rush fades quickly. leaving guilt and chaos behind. Yet many return to it, not because they don't care, but because that high becomes hard to replace. We also can't ignore the influence of opportunity. In a world of constant connection, social media, private messages, digital temptation, cheating has never been easier. You can betray someone without ever touching them. Emotional affairs can happen through words, likes, emojis, and late-night chats. The digital world blurs moral boundaries, giving people the illusion that what's virtual isn't real. But the pain it causes is very real. Emotional cheating cuts just as deep as physical betrayal because it violates trust, the foundation of love itself. But why do some people resist temptation while others don't? Self-awareness plays a big role. Some people understand their emotional triggers. They communicate openly when they feel neglected or distant. Others bury their feelings until resentment festers. When we suppress needs instead of expressing them, those needs find another outlet, and often that outlet becomes another person. Cheating is sometimes the symptom, not the disease. The real disease is emotional disconnection, poor communication, and fear of vulnerability. Many people fear honesty more than they fear betrayal. They stay silent because telling their partner, "I feel unseen," feels too risky. So instead, they look elsewhere for validation, secretly, quietly, until the secret becomes too heavy to hide. Ironically, if they had voiced their pain earlier, if they had dared to be vulnerable, maybe they wouldn't have reached that breaking point. But humans are afraid of rejection. We'd rather seek comfort in shadows than face discomfort in truth. Let's not forget, culture also shapes our ideas of fidelity. We live in a world that romanticizes passion, where movies and music glorify forbidden love, and social media constantly showcases idealized versions of relationships. People begin to compare their partner, their lives, their happiness against curated fantasies. When reality fails to match expectation, dissatisfaction grows, and dissatisfaction, if unspoken, turns into distance, and distance into temptation. But do all cheaters feel no remorse? Not at all. Most feel deep guilt, torn between two worlds, drowning in shame. They tell themselves they can control it, that it won't go too far, that no one will get hurt, but someone always does. Sometimes it's their partner, sometimes it's the other person, sometimes it's themselves. Because cheating creates a fracture, not just in the relationship, but in the cheater's own sense of integrity. They start living two lives, carrying two versions of themselves, one honest, one secret, and no one can live like that forever. Still, it's too simple to label all cheaters as villains. Some are deeply broken people trying to heal the wrong way. Some are lonely souls trying to fill an emotional void they don't know how to explain. Some are afraid of commitment because commitment means being seen fully, flaws and all. And when someone can't face their own flaws, they run to someone new, hoping to start over. But you can't escape yourself by changing partners. You only repeat the same story with a new name. So what happens to those who are betrayed? The one who's left behind often asks, "Was I not enough?" That question haunts the soul. But the truth is, cheating isn't always about someone being not enough. It's about the cheater's inability to confront their inner emptiness. You can be loving, loyal, beautiful, attentive, and still be betrayed, because the problem rarely lies in your worth. It lies in their wound. Yet knowing that doesn't make the pain easier. It only makes it more understandable. Cheating destroys trust, and trust, once shattered, doesn't rebuild overnight. For some, the relationship ends immediately. For others, they try to repair it. Healing requires brutal honesty, forgiveness, and time. Both partners have to look at what went wrong, not just in the moment of betrayal, but in the years leading up to it. Because cheating is rarely spontaneous. It's a slow decay that happens when love stops being nurtured. Now, here's something to think about. Can love and betrayal coexist? Many would say no, but the truth is, people can love and still betray. Humans are complex. We carry contradictions. We can deeply care for someone and still make choices that hurt them. It's not justification, it's reality. That's what makes infidelity so painful. It destroys something that might have still been real. Let's ask another question. Is monogamy natural? Right? Some argue that humans aren't built for lifelong exclusivity, that our biology drives us toward novelty. Others say commitment is a choice, a conscious act that transcends instinct. Maybe both are true. Maybe fidelity isn't about suppressing desire, but about managing it with awareness. The temptation to cheat may never fully disappear, but our decisions define who we are, not our urges. People who resist cheating aren't necessarily less tempted. They're more mindful. They recognize the cost. They know that a few moments of excitement can destroy years of trust. They choose discomfort, open communication, vulnerability, honesty over easy escape. That choice doesn't make them perfect, it makes them aware. And what about forgiveness? Can a relationship survive cheating? Sometimes yes, but only if both people are willing to confront the truth, without denial, without blame. The cheater must take full responsibility, and the betrayed must decide whether they can trust again. It's not easy. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means understanding the why, and then choosing whether to rebuild or to walk away. But there's also a lesson for everyone, even those who've never cheated. Cheating begins long before physical intimacy. It begins when we stop communicating, when we start hiding parts of ourselves, when we seek validation outside instead of addressing the emptiness within. The best way to prevent betrayal is not control, it's connection. Real, honest connection. Talking when things feel off. Listening when your partner is silent. Being brave enough to be seen, flaws and all. So let me ask you, what does loyalty mean to you? Is it just about not crossing a physical line, or is it about emotional transparency? Can we call ourselves faithful if we are mentally elsewhere, fantasizing about someone else, comparing our partner to others? Loyalty is not the absence of temptation. It's the decision to stay grounded in respect, even when desire whispers otherwise. Cheating may seem like an act of passion, but it's often an act of fear. Fear of intimacy, fear of rejection, fear of being trapped, or fear of confronting dissatisfaction. It's easier to run into someone else's arms than to face your own unhappiness. But real growth begins when we stop running, when we confront the uncomfortable truth that fulfillment doesn't come from new people. It comes from inner honesty. In the end, people cheat not because love disappears, but because awareness does. They forget to nurture what they have. They forget that relationships aren't meant to stay perfect. They're meant to evolve. They forget that passion is something you build, not something you chase. And by the time they realize what they've lost, it's often too late. So, the next time you hear about someone cheating, or if you've been betrayed yourself, remember this. Infidelity is a mirror. It reflects where connection broke, where wounds went unspoken, where truth was avoided. It's not just about lust, it's about loneliness. It's about the human struggle between desire and devotion. And if you're the one who's ever been tempted, pause. Ask yourself, what am I really craving? Is it love or is it escape? Is it attention or is it healing? Because every act of cheating begins as an unspoken need, and the bravest thing you can do is speak it before it destroys what you love. Cheating may seem like a story about betrayal, but it's also a story about longing for love, for meaning, for connection. We all want to be seen, understood, and desired. But the truth is, no one can truly fill you if you haven't first faced yourself. So maybe the real question isn't why do people cheat, but rather, why do we stop being honest with the ones we love? And maybe that's where healing begins.